Welcome back. Good morning. It's another episode of AKP Sports Talk. I know we've been long for a little bit, obviously. Ari's still a little under the weather, so we're going to save him his voice as much as we can. But it's obviously Wednesday, November 15th. I feel like we've been gone a little while, but, just to kind of quick recap, we've been posting most of our plays for the past few days on Twitter. So if you guys obviously do not see our videos, you can find all of our plays down below on our Twitter, AKP Sports Talk. That's pretty much where our best bet, to find all of our plays on a daily basis. If we do or do not upload a video, so just to get that out of the way, you can find all of our best bets down below on our Twitter. But we're gonna get straight into yesterday's recap. Obviously, it's been a little while, but we've kind of posted our recaps throughout the weekend. We had a tough weekend for those who haven't been here for a while. We had a tough weekend for college football, NFL. Ari doesn't want to talk about it. The Jags just did not want to show up. And then, speaking of not show up, the Bills Monday night didn't do us any favors either. But here we are Tuesday, and I'm going to get into my Tuesday. I'll take a 2-1 day. Let's start with Creighton minus 11.5. Oh my gosh, Creighton. Oh my goodness. There were so many chances from the win they were up by 12 and 13, with 2 minutes left, but then Iowa somehow just decided, we're going to shoot the ball better now. And, came climbing back to make it, 5-point game with a minute left. And I kind of figured, okay, yeah, that spread is over, but Creighton won. They only won by, I believe, 8 or 7. So, that spread did not hit, but like I said, I knew this game was potentially going to go over. I just didn't know if Iowa was going to show up, and Iowa did show up, so got to credit to them. But you on the other side, Creighton 92 points. That's just in a college basketball game, that's like almost unheard of. So it just comes in a full game too. So it just comes to show you that Creighton's going to be one of the best offenses in college basketball. And then Iowa, I guess they're going to be a very dark horse team in that Big Ten conference, the way they're playing right now. So that was a tough loss. But at the same time, I'm not really too beating myself because it's so early. We're not even 5 games into the season yet. We haven't even hit the Maui Invitational yet. So not really beating myself up too much for that one. And then Kentucky, I'll take that as a great win. I had them +7. Excuse me. I had them +7 yesterday. I almost would have just taken them on the money line if you would have just told me how that game was going. But obviously Kansas did come back in the end and won by 5. But it was getting a little sweaty near the end just because of the fact that, Kansas was, kind of starting to gain that lead. And you're like, oh, okay, well, let's just keep it under 7 here. But I kind of figured this game was going to be a lot closer than I thought. Kansas, obviously one of the better teams, but they've played a bunch of nobodies, and same for Kentucky. But, I've in a true first test for either side, and I got to give Kentucky credit where it's due. They were without their 2 big men all night, and obviously Kansas getting Hunter Dickinson, so that was pretty much the mismatch down low all game. But you got to give credit where it's due. Kentucky did play with their hearts out, and they played tough, especially for a team that is very young. Even though they brought back a lot of key guys, it's still a very young team. Most of them starting 2 freshmen. That's kind of been the Kentucky motto, always a very young program that Calipari runs. So I like that. I like that play. Definitely with covering. I knew 7 points was too many, and that line was starting to creep at 7 and go up a little more. And I was just thinking, oh gosh, I hope it's not going to be a fake. But at the same time, I just knew Kentucky, was within the, and they were rolling throughout that first half. So that was a nice, little bit sweat-free win from yesterday. And then FAU, I didn't even watch the game, but they're going to be a wagon all year. I'm telling you, people, this is the FAU wagon. You ready for this system here? FAU at home against a really bad team. That's it. They're going to cover their spread every time. This is one of the best defensive teams. They're playing at home. And when they're playing at home, their offense shows up. And I didn't even check the game. I checked for the first time. They were up by 21 in the first half. And yes, they were playing Eastern Michigan, but everyone's like, "Oh, well, this is Eastern Michigan without Imani Bates," and that line was getting near 26.5, and then it was going up to 27. And I thought, not that was still an amazing play right there because they won by 40. So I think FAU is going to be definitely a team that we really look forward to all season during the college basketball season in terms of their spreads, just because they are a top 10 team and they're playing at home against some, I wouldn't say bad competition, but I wouldn't say the greatest competition that that they're playing against. But 26.5, that was so little points. They won by 43. I'll take a 2-1 day yesterday for college basketball. After Monday, oh my gosh, you don't want to see my Monday. You don't want to. St. John's. What were we doing on Monday? What were we doing? Oh my goodness. But I'll take a 2-1 day. And as we get more and more closer to the bigger week, because Friday this weekend we have a slate of games and a huge slate, as well as as we get into these tournaments, the Maui Invitational and all these Thanksgiving college basketball tournaments. We're definitely going to be having a lot more plays like this, just little three pieces. But I'll take a 2-1 day. Ari, I know that people want to finally hear your voice after so long gone. I know you had a pretty nice day yesterday. In fact, I know you're missing something. Do you have a broom over there? Because I think you swept, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday. How did you do yesterday?
Yeah, it was only 2 plays, but both get in, get out against probably the 2 worst teams in the NBA right now, and the Grizzlies and Blazers. Jazz. I know the Lakers were up by 15 in the first quarter. They won by 23 in the first half, and then the Jazz won by 9, so that was a little bit closer over Portland. But either way, both of them were pretty. Especially the Lakers were pretty sweat-free wins, just kind of get out in the first half in these two, and obviously you'll take a 2-0 day.
Yeah, we'll gladly take that. Obviously, you mentioned the Jazz throughout that first half. They were keeping it a little bit competitive, but they kind of ran through it toward the end of that first half, beating the Portland Trail Blazers by 9 very comfortably. And then the Lakers, you didn't even have to watch. I mean, if you did watch, it was obviously a very entertaining game. Not as entertaining as that Warriors game, though. I'm telling you that much. But anyways, Lakers first half, that was sweat free. They won by almost 30, and then throughout that first half, and then the Jazz, definitely getting us the win. So that was nice to see another 2-0 day for us throughout the NBA. Almost a whole sweep if the Creighton Blue Jays just did not sell. But we'll take a nice 4-1 day overall on our Tuesday card. Now we're going to get into today's bets. I'll start here. I'm keeping it simple. We're just going to have 2 plays, one in college football, one in college basketball. I don't really like that much else throughout the slate. And we're going to target college basketball first, and we're taking Rutgers. We're taking their spread at -9.5. That is -120 on DraftKings right now. They're playing Georgetown. I like Rutgers in the spot. Now, yes, Korea, why are you taking a team that lost to Princeton at home? I know, because I'm taking a team that let me explain. I'm taking them because the other team just lost to Holy Cross at home. I mean, let's be real here. But all that aside, I do like Rutgers at home. Georgetown, I feel like they're still kind of figuring themselves out, under Ed Cooley. This is his first year there, and Rutgers, with Cliff Omoruyi and how he kind of is the centerpiece of that Rutgers program. I feel like his size is definitely going to be playing a factor. I think 9.5 is a little too low. That line has been going up to 10. I think this is a great spot for Rutgers in the bounce back at home. And you talk about Georgetown, and their one win was against a really, really bad D2, D3 program. Never heard of them. And then they lose a game against Holy Cross at home by 1. That's a bad loss right there. And that line is increasing to grow. I like Rutgers in this spot. I'll take them at -9.5. And then I'm going to go over to college football. We're taking not the U. We're taking the one in Ohio. We're taking Miami of Ohio. We're taking them -7.5 tonight against Buffalo. Look, I faded Buffalo before. They have one of the worst run defenses in all of college football, and they just don't look competitive. They're 3-7. They're ready for next year. This Miami of Ohio team is a really sneaky team out of the MAC, 8-2. Very, very high defensive team. I think 7.5 is a little too low. We'll be fading Buffalo all year. They're one of the worst defensive teams. They have no offense. They can't really get anything going if they don't have a run game. And I feel like Miami of Ohio's defense has enough of a defense to stop their run game, forcing their quarterback to throw, who loves to throw the ball, who loves to turn over the ball. That line has been growing as well. I think the latest I saw is Miami -8. So obviously there's trajectory toward Miami to cover. I would take it at 8 as well, but I like Miami of Ohio in this spot. I don't know. Wednesday night action, I'm taking the -7.5. I think that Buffalo is just one of the worst teams in that conference in terms of just not producing any kind of offense. So that's my little two-piece for college basketball and college football. I'm taking Rutgers minus 9.5, and then I'm taking Miami of Ohio minus 7.5, both on the spreads. And those are my two plays today for college basketball and college football. All right, I know we had a very entertaining NBA slate yesterday. We obviously have not as entertaining, but still a pretty decent slate today. What are you targeting in today's slate?
Yeah, I'm starting with Dallas. The Wizards are coming off a game against Toronto where they were up by 16 with 6 minutes left and didn't hit a field goal in the last 6 minutes and end up losing. They're barely an NBA team right now with the way they've been playing. Dallas is coming off a 20-point blowout to the Pelicans. So I'm looking for them to kind of bounce back here. It's in Washington, so it's on the road, but I still like the Mavericks to cover 5 here against a Wizards team that, they can score, but they don't play much defense at all. We could see Luka and Kyrie combine for like close to 80 points, I feel like, in this one. So I like Dallas to cover here. And then we have the Suns first half. First game, it should be with all Booker, Beal, and Durant, as Booker was probable. So I'm just kind of getting in and getting out with this one. First half, -3. Suns, obviously, they're facing Minnesota, who's coming off their, like you said, entertaining game last night against the Warriors. So we'll see where their kind of headspace is at after all the antics of that game. I mean, it was obviously early in the game. They still played the rest of the game, obviously, but I like the Suns here. We get the first look at their big three. I like them in the first half here to cover 3 points.
Yeah, I like those plays. You talk about the Mavericks, and I will be fading Jordan Poole and that Wizards team all season. They're so bad. They're not a serious team. You mentioned very, very bad defensively. I think Luka and Kyrie could combine for almost 80 or to 100 points tonight as well, depending on just how bad the Washington Wizards want to play tonight. We saw the Wizards blow, what was it, a 20-something point lead the other day to Toronto. Just not a serious team. I like this Mavericks line -5. And then you mentioned the Suns getting all healthy now with Booker, Beal, and KD now finally in their first home game against a good T-Wolves team. But obviously, Timberwolves with all of their I don't know what you call it, personalities. Let's call it personalities on that roster. Yesterday, again in the altercation with the Warriors, a lot of words exchanged. I'm expecting, potentially guys to be suspended, more so on the Warriors, but, we saw McDaniels get involved, obviously Gobert tapping out like he's Randy Orton in a chokehold, for God's sakes. It was pretty bad, but like you said, it was early enough in the game. But yesterday we saw, the Timberwolves pretty much have to play a really, really close game against some of the Warriors, depth guys like Brandon Pajemski, the first round pick. He dropped 23. And so, if the Warriors could play well, without Curry, Clay, and Draymond Green for pretty much the entire game against pretty much the whole Timberwolves team, I expect the Suns to cover in the spot at home, -3 in the first half when they're fully healthy. So I like that line as well. Give me both of those. I think that's a 4-0 card. We're going to go back to mine real quick just to recap. Rutgers -9.5. Georgetown is not serious right now. We're fading them all year until Ed Cooley gets that program right. And then Miami of Ohio, I like them -7.5. Buffalo does not have an offense. Going to Ari's picks once again. He's taking the Mavericks -5. The Wizards are the most unserious team in the NBA, and Jordan Poole is not that guy. And then the Suns first half -3. They finally get fully healthy for the first time all season after starting 4-6. And the Timberwolves, they just came out of a Hell in a Cell match with the Warriors. So I don't know how they're going to be coming out tonight. So I like the Suns first half -3. So give me those two. I'll take mine. That's a 4-0 card. We will be coming back tomorrow once again. Obviously, we have a way better Thursday night game this week. Bengals and Ravens, obviously, way more entertaining. There's a lot at stake. You mentioned the Bengals, coming off that tough loss against the Texans at home, and then the Ravens, the same thing, coming off that tough loss against the Browns at home. both in bounce back spots. We're going to have our best bets for that. Obviously, another day of college basketball, another day of college football, some games, and then, obviously just another day of sports. But we're going to come back tomorrow for all of that. But for this episode, that's Ari. I'm Korea. Once again, don't forget, you can find all of these plays posted later on our Twitter. That is AKP Sports Talk right there down below. And you can find all of these plays posted. But that's Ari. I'm Korea. We will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out. See ya.